They lied to you about venting. Telling people your problems doesn't heal you. It weakens you. And if you keep doing it, you'll stay stuck forever. Think about the last time you shared a problem. You wanted support, but instead you got pity. Or worse, people used it against you. The greatest minds in history knew this. Your struggles are fuel, not gossip. Today we're breaking down why oversharing backfires and how to turn pain into power. The hidden cost of complaining: every word you speak about your problems is like taking money from your own bank account and handing it to someone else. You think you're just venting, just getting something off your chest, but what you're really doing is giving away your power. Energy flows where attention goes, and when you constantly talk about what's wrong, you're directing all your mental and emotional resources toward the very things you want to move away from. Think about how this works in your daily life. You have a bad day at work, and what's the first thing you do? You call a friend or tell your family about it. You describe everything that went wrong, how your boss was unfair, how your coworkers don't appreciate you. And what happens? You relive the entire experience. Your body reacts as if it's happening all over again. Your heart rate increases, your stress levels rise, your mood darkens. You've taken a single negative event and multiplied its impact by choosing to focus on it, to give it airtime in your mind and in your conversation. Now consider this. Every time you voice a complaint, you're programming your subconscious mind to look for more things to complain about. Your brain is like a sophisticated search engine. It looks for what you tell it is important. When you constantly talk about problems, you're essentially telling your brain, this is what I want to see more of. And so it obliges, filtering your experiences to highlight everything that confirms your problems are real and important. There's another layer to this that most people never consider. When you share your problems with others, you're not just affecting yourself, you're affecting how they see you. Human beings are hardwired to remember negative information more vividly than positive. It's an evolutionary survival mechanism. So when you tell someone about your struggles, that's what sticks in their mind about you. Months later, long after you've moved past that issue, they'll still associate you with that problem. You've accidentally created a personal brand of someone who has problems, rather than someone who overcomes them. The most successful people in the world understand this principle at a deep level. They know that what you focus on expands, and what you talk about becomes your reality. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist, it's about being strategic with your energy. When faced with a challenge, they ask themselves, who can actually help me solve this, rather than who will listen to me complain about this. Try this experiment for 1 week. Whenever you feel the urge to complain or share a problem, pause and ask yourself, is this person part of the solution? If not, redirect the conversation to something productive or remain silent. You'll be amazed at how much more energy you have, how much clearer your thinking becomes, and how differently people start responding to you. Your words are currency. Spend them wisely. Why people remember your struggles, not your strength. Human psychology has a cruel bias that most people never notice until it's too late. We remember people's lowest moments far more vividly than their highest achievement. Tell someone about your financial struggles, and years later when you're doing well, they'll still think of you as someone who has money problems. Share a story about a failure or mistake, and that becomes the lens through which people view you, no matter how many successes follow. This isn't because people are cruel or judgmental, it's how our brains are wired. Negative information sticks like glue, while positive information slides right off. Scientists call this the negativity bias, and it served our ancestors well when survival depended on remembering threats and dangers. But in the modern world, this same bias works against us in subtle but powerful ways when we're not careful with what we reveal about ourselves. The most successful individuals understand this psychological principle instinctively. They know that perception isn't just about image. It shapes real opportunities. When you're seen as someone who has problems, you attract people who want to help and often control. When you're seen as someone who overcomes, you attract people who want to collaborate and invest. It's the same person, the same history, framed differently, with dramatically different results. Consider how this plays out in professional settings. Two coworkers face the same challenge. One constantly talks about how hard it is, how unfair the situation is, how stressed they are. The other acknowledges the difficulty but focuses conversations on solutions and progress. Who gets promoted? Who gets assigned the most important project? It's not about who actually works harder. It's about who is perceived as capable and resilient. This principle becomes even more powerful when you realize that people don't just remember your struggles, they categorize you by share that you're bad with money, and you become the irresponsible one. Talk about relationship problems, and you're the dramatic friend. Mention health issues frequently, and you're the sickly one. These labels stick long after the situations have changed, creating invisible ceilings on how people treat you and what opportunities they believe you can handle. The solution isn't to hide your humanity or pretend you're perfect. It's to be strategic about what you amplify. Everyone faces challenges, but not everyone makes them their identity. When you must discuss difficulties, frame them as obstacles you're overcoming rather than burdens you're carrying. Talk about lessons learned rather than damage sustained. This subtle shift in language changes how others see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. Your reputation is built not just on what you do, but on what you emphasize about yourself. The person who constantly talks about their problems becomes known for having them. The person who focuses on growth becomes known for achieving it. Both may have similar experiences. The difference is in what they choose to highlight. This week, pay attention to how you talk about yourself and your life. Every conversation is an opportunity to reinforce either your struggles or your strength. Choose wisely, because the world will remember what you keep repeating. Number 3, the 72-hour rule for problems. There's a powerful secret that separates those who master their emotions from those who are mastered by them. It's called the 72-hour rule. Here's how it works. When something upsetting happens, when you face a problem that makes you want to immediately call someone and vent, when you feel that burning need to share your frustration with the world, wait. Don't speak about it for 3 full days. Just let it sit. What you'll discover during this waiting period will change how you handle every challenge for the rest of your life. Most problems aren't as permanent or as devastating as they first appear. What feels like a catastrophe in the heat of the moment often shrinks down to manageable size when given a little time and space. The 72-hour rule acts like a filter. It separates the real crises that need attention from the temporary upsets that will resolve themselves. About 90% of the things people rush to complain about either solve themselves or stop mattering within those 3 days. The job rejection that seemed devastating on Monday often leads to a better opportunity by Wednesday. The argument that felt relationship ending in the moment often becomes a minor misunderstanding with some time to cool off. But here's what's even more important. During those 72 hours, you're giving yourself the chance to move from emotional reaction to strategic response. When you immediately share a problem, you lock yourself into an emotional state. You reinforce the neural pathways that associate that situation with pain and frustration. But when you wait, when you sit with the discomfort without giving it voice, you create space for solutions to emerge. You allow your higher mind to engage rather than staying stuck in your emotional brain. This waiting period also protects your relationships. Most people don't realize how much damage they do by constantly sharing their unfiltered emotional state. Every time you dump your raw frustration or anxiety onto someone else, you're essentially making them carry your emotional baggage. Even if they're willing to listen, even if they care about you, this constant negativity takes a toll. The 72-hour rule ensures that by the time you do speak about a problem, you've processed it enough to discuss it constructively rather than just vomiting your emotions onto someone else. After the 72 hours have passed, if the problem still requires attention, that's when you seek out specific help, not from just anyone who will listen, but from someone who can actually contribute to a solution. This is where most people go wrong. They share their problems with people who can only offer sympathy rather than solutions, when what they really need is someone who can offer strategy and support. A mentor, a professional, someone who's been through the same challenge and come out the other side. These are the people worth breaking your silence for. The practice of waiting 72 hours before speaking about problems trains your mind in 2 crucial ways. First, it strengthens your emotional resilience by teaching you that you can handle discomfort without immediately seeking external validation. Second, It sharpens your problem-solving skills by forcing you to sit with the challenge rather than avoiding it through vent. Over time, you'll find that fewer and fewer situations even need to be shared after the waiting period. You'll have developed the internal resources to handle most challenges on your own. This isn't about suffering in silence or refusing to ask for help when it's truly needed. It's about recognizing that most of what we call needing to talk is really just wanting to vent, and that venting usually makes us feel worse, not better. The 72-hour rule is the antidote to emotional impulsiveness. It's the pause button that gives you back control over your thoughts, your emotions, and ultimately your life. Energy flows where attention goes. Your words are far more than just sounds coming out of your mouth. They're instructions to your subconscious mind, programming that shapes your reality. Every time you speak about lack, about struggle, about what's wrong in your life, you're directing your mental energy toward those very things. And where your energy goes, your results follow. This isn't mystical thinking, it's how your brain is wired to work. Neuroscience shows that what we focus on literally shapes our perception and our capabilities. The language you use doesn't just describe your reality, it creates it. Think about how this plays out in daily life. Someone who constantly says, "I'm terrible with money," will find themselves making choices that confirm this belief. Someone who frequently complains about never having enough time will always feel rushed and behind schedule. These aren't coincidences, they're the natural results of telling your brain what to prioritize. Your subconscious mind is always listening, always taking notes on what you emphasize. When you keep talking about problems, your subconscious assumes these are things you want to keep experiencing, and it will help you find more evidence to support those beliefs. This principle explains why two people can have nearly identical circumstances but completely different experiences of life. One focuses on what's working, on progress being made, on opportunities ahead. The other focuses on what's lacking, on obstacles, on everything that could go wrong. Over time, these two people will naturally move in opposite directions, not because their starting points were different, but because their attention was pointed in different directions. Energy flows where attention goes, and your results always follow your energy. The most successful people understand this at a deep level. They're not necessarily more positive or optimistic by nature, they're just more strategic about where they direct their focus and their words. They talk about what they want to create, not what they want to avoid. They describe solutions rather than dwelling on problems. They understand that language is a tool, and they use it deliberately to shape their mindset and their outcomes. This doesn't mean pretending challenges don't exist. It means approaching difficulties with solution-focused language rather than problem-focused complaining. Instead of "this project is overwhelming," try "I'm breaking this project down into manageable steps." Instead of "I never have enough money," try "I'm discovering new ways to increase my income." The facts of the situation may be the same, but the energy is completely different, and so will be the results. Silence plays a crucial role in this process. When you don't know what to say that would be constructive, saying nothing is often the wisest choice. Many people feel compelled to fill silence with negative talk just to have something to say, not realizing they're programming their own minds for failure. Strategic silence gives you space to reframe your thoughts before speaking them into existence. It's not about suppressing your true feelings. It's about choosing which of your feelings deserve amplification. Your words are like seeds. You can't help but reap what you sow. Plant seeds of lack and limitation, and that's exactly what will grow in your life. Plant seeds of growth and possibility, and you'll be amazed at what blossoms. The choice is always yours, moment by moment, conversation by conversation. Pay attention to where your energy is flowing, because whatever you feed will grow, whether you want it to or not. The practical application of this principle is simple but profound. Before speaking, ask yourself, is what I'm about to say directing energy toward what I want or what I don't want? If it's the latter, reframe it or remain silent. This single habit practiced consistently will do more to transform your results than any goal-setting technique or productivity hack. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Invest it wisely. 5. The millionaire's mindset: solve, don't share. There exists a fundamental difference in how successful people approach problems compared to everyone else. While most people run to share their difficulties, seeking sympathy or validation, Those who achieve extraordinary results move differently. They treat problems like skilled surgeons treat operations, with precision, privacy, and complete focus on the solution. You'll never hear a surgeon standing in the operating room announcing to everyone how complicated the procedure is or how worried they are. They simply do the work. This is exactly how high achievers handle life's challenges. When faced with obstacles, the first question ordinary people ask is, "Who can I tell about this?" The first question extraordinary people ask is, "Who has solved this before?" This subtle shift in approach makes all the difference in the world. One path leads to emotional release but no progress. The other leads to actual solutions and personal growth. The moment you start seeing your problems as puzzles to solve rather than burdens to share, you activate an entirely different part of your brain, the problem-solving circuitry that creates real change. Consider how this plays out in reality. Two people face financial difficulty. One complains to friends about how hard it is to make ends meet. The other quietly researches how others have overcome similar situations and implements those strategies. 6 months later, the first person is still complaining about the same problems. The second has moved beyond them. The difference wasn't in their circumstances, it was in their approach. One amplified the problem through constant discussion. The other dissolved it through focused action. This mindset extends to every area of life. Relationship issues. The average person vents to anyone who will listen. The exceptional person seeks out mentors with strong relationships or reads books by experts. Career challenges. Most complain to coworkers. High performers identify people who've navigated similar situations successfully and learn from them. Health problems. Many share their symptoms widely. The truly healthy find specialists and those who've overcome similar conditions. There's a neurological reason this approach works so well. When you talk about problems, you reinforce neural pathways associated with victimhood and powerlessness. When you focus on solutions, you strengthen pathways associated with agency and capability. Your brain literally rewires itself based on where you direct your attention and conversation. The more you discuss solutions, the more naturally they come to you in the future. This isn't about suffering in silence or refusing support. It's about being strategic with your words and energy. Every problem has two components: the emotional impact and the practical solution. Ordinary people get stuck in the emotional component by constantly discussing it. Extraordinary people acknowledge the emotion briefly, then channel all their energy into the solution. They understand that talking about problems keeps you in them, while talking about solutions moves you through them. The practical application is simple but powerful. Next time you face a challenge, before speaking about it, ask yourself, is what I'm about to say moving me toward a solution or keeping me stuck in the problem? If it's not actively contributing to solving the situation, remain silent and redirect that energy toward finding answers. This single habit, practiced consistently, will transform how quickly and effectively you overcome obstacles. 6. When to break the rule. While the general principle of not sharing your problems widely holds true, wisdom recognizes there are exceptions to every rule. There are precisely two types of people worth breaking your silence for, and knowing the difference will save you years of wasted energy and misguided conversations. The first exception is someone who can directly help solve your problem. This means professionals with specific expertise: lawyers for legal matters, doctors for health issues, accountants for financial questions. These are people who don't just offer opinions but actual solutions. When you share with them, you're not venting, you're consulting. There's a clear purpose to the conversation, a defined outcome you're working toward. You're not looking for sympathy, you're seeking strategy. The key here is specificity. General complaining to a doctor about feeling tired gets you nowhere. Specific symptoms and concerns lead to tests and treatments. The same applies in every field. The more precise you are about what you need help with, the more valuable the exchange becomes. This type of sharing isn't emotional release, it's purposeful communication aimed at resolution. The second exception is someone who has successfully overcome the exact challenge you're facing. Not someone who theoretically understands it, not someone who has opinions about it, but someone who has actually been through it, and come out the other side successfully. These people offer something priceless, not just advice, but proven pathways. They can tell you not only what to do but what specifically worked for them in your exact situation. There's an important distinction here. Many people make the mistake of sharing their problems with those who will simply commiserate with them. People who are stuck in the same challenges or who enjoy discussing problems without solving them. This creates an echo chamber of frustration. What you want instead is someone who's already solved what you're facing. Their energy is different, their advice is different, and the results you'll get from following their guidance are different. Everyone else, friends, family, co-workers, social media, get silent. Not because you don't value them, but because most conversations about problems are counterproductive. Well-meaning people often give advice based on their own fears and limitations rather than actual solutions. Others unconsciously enjoy seeing you struggle because it makes them feel better about their own challenges. Few have your best interests at heart in the way someone who's professionally obligated or who's walked your path successfully does. This approach serves another crucial purpose. It trains you to discern between emotional support and practical solutions. There's a place for both, but most people confuse them. They seek emotional comfort from people who can't provide it effectively, like coworkers or casual friends, and practical advice from people who aren't qualified to give it, like family members opining on areas they know nothing about. By being intentional about who you share with and why, you get your needs met more effectively, while avoiding the pitfalls of indiscriminate venting. The practical application is straightforward. When facing a challenge, pause and ask, is this person, 1, a qualified professional who can directly help, or 2, someone who's successfully overcome this exact challenge? If not, remain silent and redirect that energy toward finding someone who meets these criteria. This simple filter will dramatically improve the quality of support you receive and the speed at which you overcome obstacles. Remember, your words are energy. When you share problems with the wrong people, you scatter that energy to the wind. When you share strategically with the right people, you focus it like a laser beam on solutions. The choice is always yours. How to respond when people pry. There will come a time on the path to self-mastery when your silence becomes louder than your words. You will walk with focus, your gaze fixed not on the noise of the world, but on the horizon of your own becoming. And in those moments when you've withdrawn from distractions, when you're recalibrating, when you are quietly laying bricks in the shadows, people will notice, not always with understanding and rarely with grace. Some will lean in, not with concern, but with curiosity, not to support, but to probe. What's wrong? They ask, as if stillness is a symptom. Why so quiet? As if silence is a flaw. What are you going through? As if a man focused must be broken. But here is the truth. You owe no explanations to those who haven't earned a seat at your table of transformation. When someone pries, they are often not seeking to help. They are seeking to satisfy an itch, the itch of gossip, of comparison, of shallow entertainment. And if you are not careful, you will find yourself opening doors that were meant to remain closed, sharing burdens that are still ripening into strength, and diluting your vision with the opinions of those who have never dared to pursue one of their own. There is great power in the vague, polite, intentional response. It is the art of guarding your inner world with grace. When asked what's wrong, simply say, just refining my process. When questioned about your silence, respond, all part of the journey. These words are gentle yet final. They signal that your path is private, sacred, and under construction. You see, the man who is truly building something magnificent knows better than to explain the scaffolding. He knows better than to interrupt the labor with commentary. The masterpiece is not ready. The structure is still bare. And so he speaks little, not from secrecy, but from respect. Respect for the process. Respect for the silence. Respect for what is not yet complete. Those who win in life do not explain themselves to everyone. They do not scatter their focus by justifying their choices. They understand that the energy spent defending your journey is energy stolen from completing it. So they nod, they smile, and they keep moving. It is a strange truth that the more powerful you become, the less you will feel the need to broadcast it. You will begin to treasure your privacy as a fortress of clarity. You will learn that real strength is quiet, that growth, like a seed buried in the soil, makes no noise. But when the time comes, when the fruit is ripe, when the season turns, there will be no need for explanations. Your results will speak. Until then, protect your path. Use wisdom when the curious approach. Offer them nothing they can twist or judge or carry away. Say only what shields your vision and sustains your power. Just refining my process, all part of the journey. Let those words be your gatekeepers, and let your silence build the empire they cannot see. Transform pain into power. The writing trick. 600 words. There is a kind of pain that demands a voice, yet cannot be shared. It sits deep in the soul, not loud enough to scream, but strong enough to shift your core. In these moments, you may feel the urge to speak, to cry out, to seek comfort in the arms of another. But here is where the uncommon path begins. When instead of speaking, you choose to write. Take the pain, take the confusion, the betrayal, the disappointment. Whatever weighs you down, capture it on paper, not with the intent to preserve it, but to release it. Write it as it is, unfiltered, unedited. Let the hand move faster than the mind. Let the ink carry the storm, because when you write it down, you unmask it. You pull the shadow into the light, and when the light touches pain, transformation begins. Do not seek to explain your suffering to others. They will not understand. Some will listen only to respond. Some will pretend to care but secretly rejoice that it is you who suffers and not them. Do not give your sacred struggle to the careless. Channel it into the page. And when the page is full, when your heart has been poured out, when the ache is no longer swirling inside but laid bare before you, burn it. Yes, burn it. Let flame be the witness. Let smoke rise like a final breath. There is something sacred in fire. It does not interrupt. It does not gossip. It does not pity. It simply consumes, and in consuming it purifies. This is not an act of destruction. This is an act of rebirth. When you burn what you wrote, you declare that your pain does not own you, that it has served its purpose, that it has taught its lesson. You are no longer carrying it, you are harvesting the wisdom and letting the weight fall away. Most people do not realize the cost of speaking too soon, of venting to those who cannot hold space. Every time you give voice to a wound before it has healed, you reopen it. Every time you tell your story from a place of anger or sadness, you risk reinforcing the identity of the victim. But when you write in solitude, you protect the alchemy. You allow the emotions to pass through, not into the world but into the fire. Do this as often as needed. Make it a ritual. Let the paper hold your storms. Let the fire finish what you can. In time, you will look back and see that it was in those quiet, solitary moments with pen and flame that your greatest transformations occurred. True power is forged in private, not in shouting but in scripting, not in complaint but in composition. You are the author of your destiny, and your pain is but a chapter, not the end. So write it, burn it, and walk forward with lightened steps, no longer burdened by what once held you down. The page took your pain, the fire took your past, and now you are free. The 30-day test. Try this now. There is a secret to advancement that very few ever discover. It requires no money, no connections, no lucky break. It demands only discipline of the mind and control of the tongue. It is simple to begin, yet its rewards are beyond calculation. Here is the challenge. For 30 days, do not speak a single problem aloud. Do not misunderstand. This is not about denial. It is not about pretending your troubles do not exist. It is about reclaiming your power by changing the way you approach them. Most people, when faced with hardship, run to the nearest ear and pour out their troubles. They relive the pain through words. They magnify the difficulty by telling it over and over again. Each retelling gives the problem more life. Each complaint adds fuel to the fire, and without realizing it, they become slaves to their own story. But if you are to become great, you must choose a higher path. For 30 days, keep your troubles to yourself, and not in a way that breeds repression, but in a way that fosters transformation. When the urge arises to speak of what's wrong, stop, take a breath, and redirect your focus to what can be done. Redirect your speech to the solution, not the struggle. Say not, "I'm overwhelmed." Instead say, I'm organizing my priorities. Say not, I'm stuck. Say, I'm reviewing my options. Use your words to open doors, not to describe the walls. Speak like one who expects a breakthrough, even when one has not yet arrived. This shift in speech creates a shift in thinking, and a shift in thinking creates a shift in being. When you stop feeding your problems with attention, you start starving them of power. The mind, when trained to seek solutions, becomes an instrument of mastery. But when left undisciplined, it becomes a vessel of complaint. You will notice, over the course of these 30 days, a change in your spirit. You will feel more in control than if the circumstances remain the same. You will gain clarity. You will walk with quiet confidence, because no longer are you defining yourself by what is wrong, but by what you are doing about it. And something remarkable will happen. Others will begin to notice. They will feel your calm. They will sense your focus. They will wonder what secret you carry. But you need not explain. You are simply practicing a truth they have not yet discovered, that power begins the moment you choose to speak victory instead of defeat. Most will never complete this challenge. They will say it is too difficult. They will miss the habit of venting. They will return to the comfort of complaint. But those who persist, those who remain silent on the problem and vocal on the solution, will rise. They will find that in 30 days they are not the same person who began. They will have crossed a threshold of self-mastery. Try this now. Do not delay. Mark the calendar. Speak only solutions for 30 days. Watch how your world changes. Not because the struggle vanished, but because you stopped giving it your voice. The mind obeys the words you speak. Train your tongue, and you train your destiny. Your silence becomes your strength. There is a strength few can see, and fewer still can understand. It does not shout. It does not post announcements. It does not gather applause. It simply endures, refines, and rises. This strength is born in silence. You must come to know the value of what is kept within. In a world that encourages noise, that rewards the dramatic retelling of every hardship, you must choose the opposite. Choose to suffer in silence, not out of pride, not from fear, but because you understand something most do not. What is conquered quietly becomes a legacy. The strongest men and women in history are not remembered for their complaints. They are remembered for what they overcame that no one knew they endured. Their tears watered the soil of their greatness in private. Their battles were fought behind closed doors. Their doubts echoed only within the chambers of their own mind. And when the time came, they emerged not with stories of how hard it was, but with results that could not be ignored. Every time you face a hardship and resist the urge to speak it, you grow stronger. Every time you carry a burden without parading it, you earn a silent medal of discipline. The world may not see it immediately, but the rewards are certain, because power accumulates in quiet places. There is no nobility in sharing your struggle with those who cannot help you. There is only wasted energy. Too many people leak their strength by narrating every setback, explaining every wound, defending every delay. And in doing so, they weaken their own position. They invite judgment. They scatter their focus. They grow attached to the identity of one who is struggling. But when you face the storm without broadcasting it, you begin to separate yourself from the ordinary. You conserve energy. You sharpen your mind. You develop resilience that no external voice can grant. And best of all, you build momentum beneath the surface. Momentum that one day will erupt into undeniable success. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. Let them question how you did it. They don't need to know what you went through. They will see the results. They will feel the shift. And their curiosity will speak louder than any praise. Because nothing is more powerful than a transformation no one saw coming. This silence is not emptiness, it is preparation. It is where the true self is forged. It is where pain becomes power, and doubt becomes direction. You do not need an audience to become great. You need solitude, purpose, and unshakable resolve. And so the next time you feel the weight of a challenge pressing upon you, pause before you speak. Ask yourself, what would happen if I carried this quietly? Not in isolation, but in intention. Not in secrecy, but in strength. Speak only when your words will build, not when they merely report pain. Let your victories speak for you, and when they do, they will speak louder than any story you could have told. Be still, be steady, be silent. Let your silence become your strength, and your results your voice. Your words are currency. Spend them on visions, not wounds. The less you confess, the more you impress.